Throughout, from the beginning to the end, in every part, you could hear the music throughout the neighborhood, in every part of the neighborhood. Welcome to the Professor English podcast, where we don't just talk about English, we practice English. My name is Ryan, and I am your host. Today, we are going to practice English by using the word throughout, which means from the beginning to the end, in every part. This is a listening and speaking exercise. So, if you want to improve your English listening, your English speaking, and your accuracy, while also improving your vocabulary, in other words, the whole enchilada, you have found the right video. There are no long explanations, just English practice. Practice listening and practice speaking. So, if you are not clear about how to use the word throughout, don't worry. By the end of the video, the idea will be very clear. So be sure and watch until the end. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that if you prefer some visual help with this exercise, you can always see the video version on my YouTube channel, Professor English ESL Class. Now, let's dive in and start practicing English. Here is a situation. Mike didn't call Lisa today. Mike did not call Lisa today. Now, let's make a how Lisa know question. How Lisa know Mike not call? How would you make that question? How does she know? How does she know that Mike didn't call her today? How does she know that he didn't? How does she know that he didn't? How does she know that he didn't call her? How does she know that he didn't call her? How does she know he didn't call her? Here is the answer. She checked her messages all day. She checked her messages in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Instead of saying all day, we can just use throughout the day, throughout the day. She checked her messages, throughout the day, throughout the day. She checked her messages throughout the day. From the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, until the end of the day. She always checked her messages. She checked her messages throughout the day. All right, fantastic job. Let's try another example. Mike didn't like the new book. Let's make a how you know question. How you know Mike didn't like the book? How do you know? How do you know that he didn't? How do you know that he didn't? How do you know that he didn't like the book? How do you know that he didn't like the book? Here is the reason. There was bad language in every part of the book. Maybe Mike doesn't like bad language, like swear words. There was bad language in every part of the book. In the beginning of the book, in the middle of the book, at the end of the book, every part of the book had bad language. Instead of saying in every part of the book, we can just use throughout the book. Throughout the book, in every part of the book. Throughout the book. There was bad language throughout the book. He didn't like it. He didn't like it because there was. He didn't like it because there was bad language throughout the book. All right, you're doing a super duper job. Let's try another example. But before we do, I just want to remind you that if you find these exercises helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel, Professor English ESL Class, so that you won't miss the next lesson. And if you are watching this video on YouTube, please take a moment to press the like button. It helps my channel so much and lets me know that you want to see more fluency and listening comprehension exercises just like this one. Now, let's keep practicing English. Here is another situation. Mary is not afraid of a challenge. Not afraid of a. Not afraid of a. Not afraid of a. Mary is not afraid of a challenge. She is not afraid of a challenge. She's not afraid of a. Not afraid of a. She's not afraid of a challenge. Let's make a how you know question. How you know she not afraid? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know that she isn't? How do you know that she isn't afraid? How do you know that she isn't afraid of a challenge? Afraid of a challenge. Afraid of a challenge. Afraid of a challenge. How do you know that she isn't afraid of a challenge? Isn't afraid. Isn't afraid. Isn't afraid. Isn't afraid. Isn't afraid of a. Isn't afraid of a. How do you know she isn't afraid of a challenge? Here is the reason. She has faced challenges from the beginning of her life up until now. She has faced challenges from the beginning of her life up until now. So starting when she was born up until this point, she always has challenges. She has had challenges throughout her life, from the beginning, in the middle, and it's not the end, but now also. She has faced challenges throughout her life, throughout her life. She's faced challenges throughout her life. She's faced challenges throughout her life, throughout her life. She's faced challenges throughout her life. She isn't afraid of challenges because she's faced challenges throughout her life. All right, you're doing an amazing job. Let's try one more. Mike and John were very bored during the conference. Mike and John were very bored during the conference. Let's make a how we know question. How we know Mike and John very bored. How do we know? How do we know? How do we know that they were? How do we know? How do we know that they were? How do we know that they were bored during the conference? How do we know that they were bored during the conference? Here is the reason. There were no breaks from the beginning of the conference until the end of the conference. So starting from the beginning, even in the middle, and even at the end, no breaks through the entire conference. There were no breaks throughout the entire conference. There were no breaks throughout the entire conference. There were no breaks throughout the conference. They were bored during the conference because there were no breaks throughout the conference. They were bored during the conference because there were no breaks throughout the conference. Or here you could just say there were no breaks throughout. They were bored during the conference because there were no breaks throughout. Throughout. From the beginning, even in the middle, and even at the end. Through all parts, no breaks. Throughout the conference, no breaks. All right, you did an amazing job today. Congratulations! I knew you could do it. Remember, practice makes perfect, so you should repeat this exercise several times, not just so that you can remember the word throughout, but also to improve your listening skills and your speaking skills. It's been really fun practicing English with you today, and I hope to see you again real soon. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the like button. See you in the next video with more interesting words and phrases.